Hi, what's up? I'm Channel Pup, fanboy supervillain, and I am very excited to be discussing with you today the Sonic X Shadow Generations panel at the Anime Expo, where we got our very first look at the animated prologue, Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings. So coming up, we're going to be talking all about the panel and the preview of the animation. Subscribe, support me on Patreon, links in the description below, everything's really appreciated, thank you. So, at the Anime Expo 2024, there was a dedicated Sonic X Shadow Generations panel, which included Takashi Iizuka, the chief creative officer of the Sonic series, Kirk Thornton, the voice of Shadow the Hedgehog, and Stephanie Sheh, the voice of Maria, as well as the folks working on the animated prologue for Shadow Generations, subtitled Dark Beginnings. And on this panel, we were just kind of celebrating the history of Shadow the Hedgehog while talking about what's kind of in the near future. They went over a brief history of Shadow the Hedgehog with a timeline that has Sonic fans pretty divided, as it excludes Sonic 06 and Sonic Forces, yet it includes Sonic Boom. And I won't lie, when I saw that on the TV as I was watching the live stream, I just said out loud, "You cowards," because I saw they were excluding Sonic 06. Now, I don't necessarily think that has any bearing on the game, because we do see that Kingdom Valley is a part of Sonic X Shadow Generations, and that the hub world is taking a lot of inspiration from Sodiana Castletown, which makes me wonder, again, why is Sonic 06 not at the very least on here? Some folks have said it's because Sonic 06 basically decanonized itself after the events of its own story, which is bullshit, because Sonic 06 is clearly still canon, because Crisis City is playable in Sonic Generations, the game that is releasing alongside Shadow Generations and Kingdom Valley. Alternate timeline or not, those events still happen, but then what's Sonic Boom doing there? You're gonna tell me that Sonic 06 decanonized itself, but that Sonic Boom was ever canon in the first place? Well, according to my friend the MUME, they just ran out of room. But I don't know about that. It just makes it look like Shadow had nothing to do between 2005 and 2014, which is almost not entirely untrue if you take Sonic 06 out of the equation. As it is, though, at ease, Sonic 06 soldiers, I'm sure that there's validity in that, given that Kingdom Valley is being celebrated in the Shadow Generations portion of the game. The real problem here is the lack of Archie Sonic on the timeline, because, like my friends Loa and Ian Waffles have said, Archie Shadow is the best Shadow, and I completely agree. But hey, Sega will probably sooner acknowledge Sonic Eraser than they'll ever acknowledge anything from Archie. Kirk Thornton basically admits that he had fuck all to work with over the past 10 years, but is excited to finally embrace deeper facets of Shadow's personality and character, stating that he really didn't know much about the background of the character until this project, and I mean, go figure, it's never really been relevant in anything he's worked on. But now that the marketing geniuses at Sega have finally figured out that people actually like Shadow the Hedgehog, well, they're no longer ashamed of him and are actually giving Kirk Thornton something to work with. I did find it funny, though, how when Kirk Thornton was listing off the notable appearances he's had as Shadow, it was mainly Twitter takeovers and Lego commercials. That's really, really funny. Thank God for that light prod from Sonic the Hedgehog 2's post-credits scene. On the panel, Iizuka discussed the inspirations for Shadow. He mentioned kind of how they wanted a dark hero archetype, as that was all the rage in the late 90s when they were working on Shadow's character for Sonic Adventure 2. He mentioned that Spawn was quite an inspiration for Shadow, and, you know, the Kabuki mask inspiration for his design, which I knew about for a while, but still, it's cool to hear it mentioned. He did rule out any inspiration from Vegeta from Dragon Ball, but I don't know about that.
Why the fuck you lying? Why?
Something I found really funny, though, was just there was a lot of snickering among the panel about Maria Robotnik getting killed, showing that even folks working closely to the production of official Sonic media find this family-friendly mega franchise having a kid get iced in the face to be hilarious. Because it is! But just because I'm laughing, that doesn't mean I'm mocking it. This is what Sonic is all about to me. Yeah, these guys look like Mickey Mouse, but they go hard, tackling themes of military brutality, and we got scenes of old men getting executed by firing squads. This is like Mickey Mouse if Mickey Mouse didn't lie to America. Shadow the Hedgehog is Zack Snyder's Mickey Mouse, and I love it. I am laughing out of respect. And I think we all are. So Sega, please don't get discouraged by that. Then there was a Q&A. Now, a fan did ask Iizuka, like, if there's still any water to the quote where Shadow refers to Sonic as the ultimate life form at the end of Sonic Adventure 2. Which we had Iizuka kind of face-palming, and a lot of people are kind of clowning on this question, saying it's a ridiculous or a stupid question, hence why Iizuka is face-palming. I think the real reason why Iizuka is face-palming is because he knows that there's a contradiction in his own work. I don't think this is that stupid of a question considering it's brought up the once and never brought up again. Is it still relevant? Not really, but hey, we're all curious about it, right? Iizuka's response was genuinely really funny as well, mentioning that Shadow, as he was kind of fading out of his super form, saw that Sonic was still in his, and figured, oh god, I guess he must be the ultimate life form after all, but then when he survived his fall to Earth, he thought, actually, never mind, no, I am the ultimate life form. Although, didn't Robotnik canonically rescue him from his fall? I think the real honest answer here would be that this would be a great culmination of Shadow's arc if Sonic Adventure 2 would be his only game, which it was probably originally intended to be. I don't think they anticipated bringing Shadow back in Sonic Heroes. So for Shadow, just before he dies, to kind of tell Sonic, hey, it's you all along, for him to kind of give up that title right before he dies is kind of a moment of catharsis. It's something that works within the context of that being the only game Shadow is in, and I mean, to be fair, they could have maybe taken his character in a different direction, have it so that he's given up that Ultimate Life Form title and just stuck that way. But I mean, he did lose his memories. So much to untangle, but I do just love the idea of, like, he survives his fall and is like, oh, okay, no, I am the Ultimate Life Form. Even though in Sonic Frontiers, Sonic does survive a fall to Earth from space. So, these guys need to have a chat. There are also some discussions about what, like, Shadow likes to eat, and, like, Kirk Thornton suggested he likes to eat, like, caviar and peppers, and then Iizuka just said that he likes black coffee. Am I misremembering, or does he not like pizza? I always had him down as someone that likes pizza. I swear I saw somewhere that he likes to eat pizza in Hot Pockets. Personally, though, I like to think that Shadow would eat a tuna, pepperoni, and onion sub at Subway. Have it your way. Seriously, never ask a woman her age, a man his salary, or Garrulous64 what he ordered at Subway in 2009. Alright, I want to talk about the animated short, so we're gonna do that now. Hey, you're looking really good, by the way. I really like that shirt. We're gonna move over to the animated short. Okay, so there was speculation that we'd actually get to see the short at this event, and we didn't. We got a preview, which took me by surprise, but this does seem to be a bit of a bigger deal than previous Sonic promo shorts were. This one will be 3 episodes long as opposed to just a singular short. More akin to Sonic Mania Adventures, Team Sonic Racing Overdrive, or Sonic Colors Rise of the Wisps than, say, I don't know, Sonic Superstars Trio of Trouble. The short is written by Ian Flynn, with the animation being handled by Studio Gigex. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I think it's Gigex, I have no idea. And they had 2 of the folks who were working on the animation there at the panel, and I have to say, mad respect to them. They seem really enthusiastic to dig way beyond the surface of Shadow, and really explore the how and why. Even things like how his air shoes work are being explored in the animation. Not necessarily on a narrative level, but these are things that they are carefully considering in the animation process, and I love that. I've been thinking we need more of this in Sonic for quite some time. This is Studio Gigex's first work on Sonic. They're probably most well known for the popular Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. Obviously, promotional animations are nothing new for Sonic. These have been popularized since Sonic Mania Plus, but were present as early as Sonic Jam and Sonic Unleashed. But they have been pretty consistent since Sonic Mania Plus, and I have to say, I've been absolutely lapping all of these up. They've really showcased the quality that Sega can put into Sonic. The pedigree of animation on display here has been something genuinely special, and this is the kind of stuff that I think needs to be on the world stage. The stuff that the Sonic franchise should lead with, because while games can be a little hit and miss, and the movies are generally just perfectly satisfactory family entertainment, these are genuinely exceptional quality shorts. Previous animations were handled by Powerhouse Animations, with the exception of Sonic Colors Rise of the Wisps, which was handled by Yeti Farm Creative Inc. We also had the in-game animations from Sonic Superstars handled by TMS, who had previously worked on Sonic X, so fun little reunion there. This also explains why, while despite looking good, Sonic Superstars' traditional animations did pale in comparison to the animations by Powerhouse. Not bad, but just a little more flawed. I think my favorite of the bunch so far, up until now, was Sonic Frontier's prologue, Divergence. It was great to get some focus on Knuckles. I loved how cinematic and serious it was. There was a really foreboding atmosphere. Everything was just stellar. But okay, I could geek out for hours about the different animated Sonic shorts. Let's talk about what we've seen so far of Sonic Generations' Dark Beginnings. From the jump, you do notice a difference in the animation style. Everything appears to be very on model here, and while there has been some debate about this, I think that's because we've got stylized 3D animation here as opposed to traditional animation. And this kind of just once again reinforces my point that Sonic games should have a cel-shaded art style. I made a whole ass video on that and other things. I'll put a link in the pinned comment or something. Now, while I do hope that Sonic will continue to keep traditional animation alive, I have absolutely no objections to the animation style here. It allows for a lot of visual depth to these visuals, like the Space Colony arc. As for the action, while we get very little of it in this preview, it looks to be a lot more kinetic than usual, which is good, because I remember that the key weaknesses of TMS's Sonic Superstars animations were just how ambitious they were trying to get with camera angles and movements within that traditional art style, and it just felt a little disorienting. It felt like the animators were going, "Oh no, this is horrible!" every time they had to follow some elaborate camera movement instruction. And I can't blame them, that stuff looks difficult. But there's a real nice sense of tangibility to this animation here, even down to how Maria's hands move over Shadow's snoot when she's comforting him. There's a real tangibility to this. The sound design also really adds to that. There's such a nice texture quality to this entire production that I'm absolutely in love with. What we're seeing here manages to be absolutely gorgeous, while also having more of kind of a sense of geography to it. The lighting and shading looks absolutely wonderful. I love the use of shallow depth of field during the intimate moment where Maria comforts Shadow. Like the whole outside world just fades away because these two are together. I love the single shot as Shadow leaves the room he's in with Maria to Gerald's laboratory. How the lights go out in that sequence, allowing these two rooms to transition seamlessly. Kirk Thornton as Shadow here. Alright, I've always been Kirk Thornton's silliest soldier when it comes to his performance in the role of Shadow. I've always thought he was good. I think the material he's had to work with hasn't been great, but like, even a game like Sonic Free Riders, where Shadow's characterization was drastically simplified, I think Thornton did a really great job with what he had there. Sonic Boom was a different take on the character that I think Thornton nailed. But people rarely talk about how good he was at a conventional, sort of archetypical Shadow in Sonic Forces, and I know that game's a bit stinky-dinky, but really, tell me what's so bad about this performance.
Worthless. Don't show your pathetic face around me ever again. I can't imagine the doctor would do something like that without reason. Rouge, are you telling me the truth? I can't imagine the doctor would do something like that without... What is it, Rouge? What happened?
He's a great Shadow. He always has been. And nothing's changed here. Stephanie Sheh as Maria sounds exactly how I expect Maria to sound. She's got that sort of frail yet loving innocence. And we got to discuss the music score too. There appears to be a leitmotif here that plays during both the scene where Maria comforts Shadow and the scene where he hightails it to Gerald's lab. And while it's all orchestral, it really suits the high emotion of the scene. It makes me wonder if we'll be getting a vocal track that has that melody in there, as Sonic games have always had a pretty strong sense of leitmotif continuity between vocal tracks and the in-game score. But okay, I've gushed about the production of this. What about the actual contents of the preview? Well, we see Shadow feeling frustrated with himself that he's unable to cure Maria Robotnik, really kind of questioning his status as the ultimate life form, and Maria comforts him, saying that she's just grateful for the time she has with him, and that's enough. It's enough that he's doing his best. Already we've got some great themes here. Shadow's sense of purpose, how he feels like he needs to live up to his status, while Maria is there to tell him that he's enough as he is. Not for the purpose he was built for, but simply just for being him. It's a really tender scene as Shadow kinda turns to mush in Maria's hands. There's a real sense of familial love between these two, as Maria kinda humanizes Shadow, brings him down to earth from that whole "I am the ultimate life form" thing that he does. But this moment of serenity doesn't last as the Space Colony Ark comes under attack from a Gizoid. Now, whether or not this is Emerl or just another Gizoid that looks identical to him remains to be seen. I think it is Emerl. But either way, holy crap, we've got a revisitation of the Gizoids. Now, some folks have questioned if this is a retcon, if maybe it will be Emerl who kills Maria, but at ease, folks, there's an explanation. In Professor Gerald Robotnik's diary in Sonic Battle, it is mentioned that Emerl was the only Gizoid on Earth discovered and taken onto the Ark by Gerald Robotnik, and that one day, Emerl rampaged aboard the Space Colony Ark. Granted, this was prior to Shadow's birth, so this does appear to be a bit of a retcon, but things might not all be as they seem. When Maria grabs Shadow's hand begging him to rescue Gerald, Shadow has a brief premonition to the gun soldier that shoots Maria, even though this is a separate incident quite some time before that event. Whether this is simply non-diegetic foreshadowing or maybe Black Doom has something to do with these visions remains to be seen, but boy am I ever excited. But okay. Shadow goes to Gerald's lab to find Emerl holding him hostage, and he confronts Emerl, and that's how the preview ends. Now, honestly, I was just kind of expecting this to be a story aboard the Ark leading to Maria's death. But instead, we've got events we've never actually seen before that relate to a pretty important character in Shadow's history, that being Emerl. The two related over how they were both made to be weapons of destruction, yet they both have hearts and souls and are capable of choosing their own identity. And we're kind of seeing the beginnings of that. You might say the dark beginnings of that. Why Shadow initially wanted to destroy Emerl in Sonic Battle. We've also got a poster for the short three-parter featuring the Robotnik family tree, the space shuttle, Emerl, and Team Dark, suggesting that this series will be exploring Shadow's life story both before and after the incident aboard the Ark. The only thing I was a little unsure about with the animation, though, was how weirdly cropped in it looked. It feels like we should be able to see more of the frame than this. But, again, it might just be how it's cropped. Maybe seeing the whole thing will make a little more sense. I just think, like, for example, this shot here, the framing is just a little strange. Given the recent reappraisal of Shadow's character, with us now revisiting the more compassionate and emotional side to him after almost 20 years, it leads me to wonder if they'll start exploring the kinship of Team Dark again after recently treating them as more simply co-workers at an organization than actual friends. Now, this does make me wonder how this will tie into Shadow Generations as a game. Will we get to see or fight Emerl in that game? On the Japanese Sonic X Shadow Generations website, for Sonic Generations, the two playable characters were given character bios. And over on the Shadow Generations side, there was Shadow's bio and then a coming soon, leading people to speculate if there's another playable character in Sonic Generations to any kind of capacity. This could be Emerl. Well, producer Shun Nakamura has seemingly shut down that speculation, stating that there is no such thing as one more person. A sentence that's clearly the result of iffy translation, but nonetheless goes oddly hard. I don't need there to be other playable characters in Shadow Generations. It's enough that I'm just playing as Shadow again. But I won't lie, the way this is all set up would naturally spur discussion of the prospect of an additional playable character. It could be that Nakamura-san is just bluffing to keep it a secret. All I'll say is, it's a possibility, albeit an unlikely one, so don't get your hopes up over that notion, because it likely won't materialize. However, I did notice that in the gameplay footage for Shadow Generations, Shadow does mention that he's chasing someone down at the start of the Ark stage. Now, that could easily be Black Doom, however, he does seem pretty surprised to see him at the end of the stage. Could it be that he's initially chasing down Emerl? So that's Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings so far, and it looks really promising. I've been saying for ages that these animations should be available to view in the games themselves, And it looks like Sega are correcting 50% of the course there by making an extended version available on the PlayStation version of the game. Which leads me to question, why does it always have to be a fucking monkey's paw with Sega? But what do you guys think? Comment below, discuss, and as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to support more like it, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, and in the description below is the link to my Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get your name in the credits of these videos, with a special shout out going to the patrons in the $5 and above tiers. They are RT0, CalX, Hypes, Sad Goku, Dare Denny, SSS06, Kale Bennett, Kenneth Kozlowski, Dazzle Fizzle, I've sent my evil clone to find some helium, Cirrus the Skeptic, Biotin. Oh no, I've used up all the helium, what am I meant to do now? And Vera Wild. Thank you folks so much for your generosity, and to all of you at home, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Now get out of my face.